Hello, my name's Michael Conneely, and this is my astrology and healing newsletter for November 2019. And believe me, the energies of 2019 are so big and so potentially valuable and so very necessary to understand that there's not only the video and blog version of the newsletter, but there's also 4 add-on video and blogs. So the 4 add-on ones are the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, your strategy for revolution and self-expression. Secondly, the second add-on is past lives in astrology and healing. The third add-on video and blog is about how do you heal a weak sun, prompted by the fact that the sun is weak for the first half of November. And the fourth add-on video and blog are massively important details about Jupiter's entry into Vedic Sagittarius this month of November. And there's many issues about alignment with galactic center, about Gandanta energy, about difficult energies that Jupiter has to cross, and our need to deepen our connection with the divine Jupiter. So have a look at the 4 add-ons when you finish listening to this video. And what I'd like to say actually is that November begins with Halloween on October the 31st. And it's a very big festival with the Irish, and anciently was, back to the Iron Age provably, back to the Neolithic provably. And indeed, in my Druid Forest School, we have a celebration of Halloween, or Samhain, as the ancient Irish Druids called it. And it's a time when the veils between the worlds are thin, and the energies you can contact now at the beginning of November are a very important part of your November experience, because this is a time of increased intuition, because the veils between the worlds are thin, of contacts with ancestors and ancestral issues. And the day before yesterday, as part of my Sacred West of Ireland tours on my Druid Forest School website, I led a wonderful tour to the Carrowkeel megalithic tombs near here. And we did a journey to contact our ancestors for healing. And indeed, this can be a time for descent into the underworld. This can, well, for example, Pluto is seen as an underworld deity, and so one can descend into the abyss and deal with one's wounds, hurts, regrets, secrets, and guilts, and in a sense leave them with the keeper of the abyss, so that one can arise to contact Pluto as Kether. Lightened, one can arise to contact, make direct connection with the divine energy. So we're at a very death and rebirth time at the start of this month, and I'm glad I was able to say that. So there's a summary in the blog of 8 important details of the astrology of November 2019. And so do have a look at the blog, because I don't want to go into like a huge massive detail as I'm trying to speak now. So the first big thing I want to talk about is the Saturn-Ketu conjunction, the Saturn-South Node conjunction. It's been in Vedic Sagittarius all this year, and it's an energy of huge tension, mounting tension. And basically Saturn is our blocks and our prison walls when we experience him negatively. And Ketu is an energy of destruction, but for spiritual purpose and potential great illumination. And Ketu is smashing away at Saturn's blocks, all this year and will continue to do so. And in fact, if we ignore the message of that confrontation, we do it at our peril. In my case, it's a Sagittarius. The sign it's happening in is my 6th house of health, healing and right living. I have been ill through overwork, but I'm getting wonderful healing and I'm now better. And I'm now forging forward. And that brings me to the next big energy, which is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Saturn was retrograding side by side with Ketu, the South Node. And Ketu continues retrograding, moving towards the very beginning of Sagittarius. But Saturn turned direct again, and so he's moving closer and closer to Pluto, which is towards the end of Vedic Sagittarius. And in my opinion, the highest manifestation of the Saturn-Pluto energy is that each of us, you and me, if necessary, clear ourselves of our wounds and blocks in some way, maybe a descent into the underworld, the Pluto energy that I just tried to describe, but then create a strategy forward. Saturn being the containment for the strategy is the containment for Pluto, which is huge, like atomic power transformation, connection with the divine at its highest. And so we can carry forward the containment like a holy grail, containing great transformation, working with the Saturn-Pluto energy that is now really, really coming out of the huge tension morass that the Saturn-Ketu energy has been bringing us all this year. And I've actually done a separate add-on blog on the Saturn-Pluto conjunction and what it means. Have a look at that. So the next thing is Jupiter. Well, Jupiter enters Vedic Sagittarius on the 5th of November. Jupiter, the divine Jupiter, is blessing and guru, expansion. And we need to contact that energy. But please do listen to my add-on video and blog about what happens when Jupiter enters Vedic Sagittarius. And then you'll understand it much more and do much better at connecting to Jupiter. Because, for example, Jupiter is now going to transit in alignment with galactic center. Jupiter is now passing through the Gandanta zone, the transition from the water sign of Scorpio to the fire sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter will actually move across the malefic planets of Ketu, Saturn and Pluto. The Ketu-Jupiter conjunction that we're heading towards exact in January needs to be understood. So do see my separate video and blog on the Jupiter transit into Sagittarius. And also, for the first half of November, the Sun is still transiting through Vedic Libra, and the Sun is most deeply fallen in Vedic Libra. Libra is the Sun's sign of debilitation, so see my separate add-on video about what that means and how it can be healed, particularly if you have a weak Sun in your birth chart. It's essential to hear that if it's the case. It's essential to heal it if that's the case. See the separate video and blog. So the next thing I want to mention is the Uranus energy, and how that will be experienced by you depends on what planets transiting Uranus may be aspecting in your birth chart and what house Uranus may be going through in your birth chart or opposing in your birth chart. And in my case, in a way it's weird. There's utter revolution because transiting Uranus is closing on Rahu in my 10th, the North Node in my 10th house of career. And at the same time, Rahu in the heavens is closing on my natal Uranus in my 12th house of spiritual inspiration. And, at its best, that's what the 12th house is. The 12th house also is loss, and indeed I'm in a sense doing a lot of work that doesn't sort of bring me income at this stage, because I'm developing many wonderful course options, a whole series of vision meetings with the gods and the goddesses of the ancient Irish and the ancient Norse, and so that's so typical of a 12th house activity where the return on it will come later. Add-on modules to my rune course where you may wish to do magical work to contact the divine energy of each rune. There's a wonderful rune student of mine who's producing paintings, wonderful paintings of the Norse gods and goddesses. I'll be selling those through my website imminently, my Rune Path website. And I've been doing correspondence courses in astrology, runes, Ogham, Norse gods and goddesses, Celtic gods and goddesses, for 24 years, correspondence courses. But now with this energy of revolution, I'm having very reasonably priced add-on possibility that students can book a Zoom face-to-face session with me at any point in their course for deep, extra, very authentic tuition. So I've described to you my Uranus revolution. What's yours? Watch this space. And certainly if you're interested in some of the things I mentioned, go to my new Ogham Gods and Runes blog to subscribe, and indeed subscribe to my video channel, to get all my newsletters and so forth. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. So, well, there's a Mercury retrograde, and I give the dates of that in the blog, so I won't give them now because I don't want to go into a massive detail. But do remember, a Mercury retrograde energy does not end until Mercury returns to his pre-retrogradation position. The Mercury retrograde effect and energy does not end on the day Mercury stations and turns direct. It only ends when Mercury regains his pre-retrogradation position. Look at the blog for when that is. Mars, there's interesting stuff in the blog of the November Astrology and Healing newsletter about Mars. So Mars basically starts November in Chitra Nakshatra. The nakshatras are the utterly wonderful 27 lunar signs of Vedic astrology, each of which so utterly powerfully and accurately depicts something of our emotionally based consciousness and self, warts and all, bad points and good points. That's so valuable. And Chitra, where Mars is now, is all about creativity. And so the ruling deity of Chitra is Vishvakarma, the heavenly architect. The symbol of Chitra is the pearl. You open up the dull shellfish shell and inside is the beautiful pearl. Chitras need to find their pearl of achievement in this life. Chitra is ruled by Mars and Mars is transiting through Chitra. This can be such a good time for creativity of whatever sort, whether you're building or writing, poetry, filming, whatever it is. And note that Mars leaves the Virgo part of Chitra on the 10th of November and enters the Vedic sign of Libra, entering the Libra half of Chitra. And so there's other important details about the Mars transit in November that it's well worth seeing in my blog, the newsletter blog. But I can't go into all that detail now in a video. There's some wonderful detail about Venus. Very complicated stuff with Venus in November. Its relationship with Mars and Jupiter, Ketu and Saturn. Do see the associated blog for this news about Venus. There's mention of the outer planets and Chiron. And the Chiron activations we can have are just breathtaking. And there's also a paragraph that advising you there's a shift in sign emphasis coming. At the moment, the huge sign emphasis is Vedic Sagittarius. But from next year, the emphasis is shifting to Vedic Capricorn. Get in touch with me for a reading if you need to understand what that will mean in your life. There's the dates and details of the lunations, the new and full moon. So subscribe to my video channel. If you're interested, subscribe to my new Ogham Gods and Runes blog site. And get in touch with me for a reading. That's at the starwheelastrology.com buy page. And look at my wife Maggie Pashley's healing website, www.maggiepashley.com, for the many healings she offers. And remember, there's not much point, not a lot of point, developing wonderful perception and formula from astrology. What we need to do is to go on from the wonderful perception to healing. Thank you.